one. Hi team, say who actually wins from free trade? Well, it's complicated. Let's take a real life case study. Let's have a look at a factory in Shenzhen, okay? Maybe an Ohio manufacturer. Maybe they've both closed down because of trade, okay? Here's the question everyone gets wrong, okay? If you ask a mainstream economist if free trade is good, they will say broadly yes, and confidently at that. But if you ask a laid-off factory worker in the American Rust Belt or the English Midlands, and you're going to get a very different answer. Okay? Here's the thing. Both are right. It's not a contradiction. Okay? That's what makes trade economics genuinely hard. Free trade creates net gains. That's probably true overall, but it quietly skips the real question. Net gains for who? I'm Econ Teach NZ, and today we hold that complexity. We look at it, not free trade good, not free trade bad, but free trade for whom? Under what conditions? At what cost? Who are the winners, all right, of free trade? Let's look at that, okay? The most direct winners, who are they? Maybe consumers. Let's talk about them. Tariffs have fallen, import prices fall, and everybody who buys stuff, everyone, they pay less. So they win. The consumer gains from trade, and they have done so since 1945. Those gains have run into the trillions of dollars. Clothes, phones, food in your house are way cheaper relative to the income that maybe 50 years ago. Trade is a big reason why. What about a second set of winners? Countries with a real comparative advantage in exports. Germany's car industry. Kenya's cut flour industry. Maybe air freighting, right? Might have air freighting roses to European supermarkets. Bangladesh, with their garment sector, it lifted millions into paid work. It's imperfect, but still transformative. There's a famous development economist, Danny Roderick. He calls export-led trade the only reliable recipe for rapid growth in history. Take examples, South Korea, Taiwan, China, Japan. That's the truth, and that's the proof. Conditional on the right institutions, which is doing a lot of work in that particular sentence. So who, therefore, are the losers? Okay, let's think about places like Detroit, or in the UK, Stoke-on-Trent, where there are closed plants. Retraining never happened. This is what the textbook models underweights. Ricardo just assumed that when imports wipe out a low productivity industry, that the workers will glide more smoothly into better paying jobs. The adjustment is costless. The evidence is no. The China shock research found US communities were hit by Chinese import competition, and they lost jobs, and those jobs stayed lost for over a decade. Workers didn't move up. They dropped out of the workforce or took lower paid service jobs. And those losers tended to be concentrated. Okay, we had whole towns, whole industries. So one strong local identity would be Detroit, right? Or Sunderland, maybe the Ruhr, right? The winners, consumers with cheaper shopping, were spread out. They were anonymous. They had no idea, perhaps, what trade policy was and why. Concentrated losses but diffused gains. That's the political economy of protectionism in one line. The losers vote, but the winners don't always organise. So what is our exam angle? How about this? To what extent does free trade benefit all stakeholders? It's a distribution analysis. It separates an A from a B, or a 7 from a 6. Right? Identifying the winners, the consumers, the export sector, developing economies, and the losers, the import competing workers, the mid-adjustment workers, the political economy that drives policy. Don't just write it depends. Show the context, show exactly what it depends on. What about our steel man approach? Let's have a look. South Korea, their steel plants. Singapore, the skyline in Singapore, the industrial policy timeline. All right, protectionists, because let's have a think. Their best argument isn't free trade is bad, it's that sequencing matters. If you look at South Korea in the 1960s, it was dirt poor. It became a high-income nation in one generation, not through pure free trade, but through strategic industrial policy. The government picked the sectors, it protected them, subsidized them, and forced them into export markets once they were ready. So steel, ships, electronics, chips, it's an infant industry argument. And here in Singapore, it worked spectacularly. For every counter, say every South Korea, sorry, that was South Korea I was talking about, there are 10 countries whose infant industries didn't grow up. The protectionism never ended. Politics captured it, and consumers, they were overpaid forever. They overpaid forever. So always free trade is wrong, but always protectionism is also wrong. The right call will depend upon the institutions, the stages of development, the strategy. We're not talking fence sitting, we're just being more accurate, more honest, more grounded. The honest answer to who wins from free trade in aggregate is probably most people over the long run. In specific places, during specific adjustments, concentrated groups of workers are going to lose, and they're going to lose hard. And those losses are real, they're not a rounding error. Good trade policy should own both truths. Most trade policy doesn't. This is Econ Teach NZ. Is the infant industry argument legit economics, or is it just a cover for political capture? Reasoning, not instinct. Tell me your thoughts. Should we have free trade? Should we not have free trade? What is the impact? What is the overall cost? What are the invisible supply chains that run your life? And what happens when they break? That's going to be our next video. Well, you want us to talk about that. Let's have a look. Supplies, supply chains, or protectionist policies. Vote in the comment section. We'll do a poll. We'll see who wins, and we'll vote. All right? Comment about free trade versus protectionism. Like, comment, subscribe. Really helps with the algorithm. If you put in a comment that's very economically based, I will give you a shout out in the next video. Hei kōrera, have a fantastic day.